Another weekend's coming and another fight night is going down. UFC Fight Night, Charles Oliveira versus Kevin Lee. It's going down and I got 4 money-making picks for you. Who do you got? No, seriously, who do you got? I'm tired of giving you guys my picks and getting nothing back. I want your picks this time. Who do you got? What's up, everybody? Rant and Rich here, back with another one. So today I'm going to be giving you my picks, my suggestions, my recommendations for this weekend's event, UFC Fight Night, Lee versus Oliveira. This event's going down this Saturday, March 14th, 2020 in Brazil. So there's going to be a lot of hometown favorites. Very, very curious to see if some of these fights go to decision. I'm sure they will. How the judges are going to score things. So I don't want to make this video too long. I actually have limited time today, so let's get right into the picks. Okay, so this is the first fight that I saw that I really liked at first, and I came back and forth to it. I wanted to take it, I didn't want to take it. They're just so close that I just wasn't too sure. So take this with a grain of salt. This is actually my least favorite pick of mine. I'm going to give you 4 picks, and this is probably the least favorite. So take that as you want. If you want to parlay, if not, single bet, just go small. Let's get into it. We have Silva versus Moroz. Silva is coming in as the slight favorite at a -130, while Moroz is coming in as the underdog at a +110. This is pretty much a pick'em fight, pretty much even on paper. The jiu-jitsu game is going to be tough. It's like great jiu-jitsu fighter versus great jiu-jitsu fighter. What do? I guess they maybe possibly stand up, not even go for takedowns. Not quite sure. We're going to see what happens. But let me get into Moroz first. I'm going to give a little bit of background information on her. Then I'm going to get into Silva. Then I'm going to let you know who I suggest for this one. So starting with Moroz, 28 years old, 9-3 in a professional career, coming off of a win to Sabino Mazo back in March of 2019. So she's been out quite a while. She hasn't fought for a little bit. It's been about a year. Definitely has more experience in there. Not a lot more, but she does have 12 fights on her record compared to Silva, where she only has 5 fights. So that may play a part. Moroz just having that confidence, having that octagon time. Speaking of Silva, let's quickly get into her. A little bit of background information. She's also 28 years old, 5-0 in a professional career. So she hasn't lost. She hasn't really tasted that feeling of defeat. Only 5 fights deep. Coming off of Dana White's Contender Series, she won by submission in that one. Her last fight was quite a while ago, guys. September of 2018. That was about a year and a half ago. That's a little scary, and that's why I was back and forth on this fight. Got to give a slight advantage on the feet to Moroz. Pretty much even, maybe a slight advantage to Silva when it comes to jiu-jitsu game. Is the fight going to go to the mat? Not quite sure. So my suggestion is to take Silva. I think she's going to win by decision. Can't really see her beating Moroz by submission. Possibly. I think she has a slight edge, possibly. But I have more confidence in Silva winning by decision. I personally wouldn't go too big on this one. It's just too close to tell. So next up we have Julian versus Brandon Moreno. Like the last fight, these two on paper, these stats are very, very close, very similar. I would definitely say that as far as power goes, maybe overall energy, not cardio, but overall energy, I give it to Moreno. But experience and composure and sharpness, cleanness, I'd have to give it to Julian. So speaking of Julian, let me get into him. 34 years of age, 23-6 in his professional career. So unfortunately coming off of a loss to Joseph Benavidez back in June of last year. So it's been a little while since he fought, and not only that, he did get TKO'd. He got kicked in the head by Joseph Benavidez, somebody that just got knocked out themselves recently. But before that, he was on a 4-fight win streak, and he's done great in his professional career. 23 fights, and he's very, very experienced and only lost 6. So gotta say something for Julian. He is great in his jiu-jitsu game, and definitely a decision fighter though. I could definitely see this going to decision depending on if Brandon Moreno gasses out. Speaking of Brandon Moreno, let me get into him. He is 16-5-1 in his professional career, 26 years old, so he's definitely the younger, fresher fighter. less experienced though, even though he does have a lot of fights in the UFC. So he's coming off of a win to Cara France back in December of last year. So being very active. It hasn't been too long since he's been out. Before that, he fought in September of 2019. Then before that, he fought in June of 2019. So he's been very active in the last year, which is definitely good for him, especially being a young fighter. That experience is essential when you're going against somebody like Jussier Formiga. But so Moreno, definitely a decision fighter. He's got some heavy hands, but really hasn't won too much by KO TKO. His bread and butter really is on the mat. Jiu-jitsu game is above par. And Jussier Formiga, he's no slouch as far as jiu-jitsu goes too, but I'd have to give the experience and the edge for sure to Moreno on this one. So is it going to go down on the mat? This is another one. Not quite sure. I'm sure Moreno's going to try to take Jussier Formiga down, but Jussier Formiga's got a 76% takedown defense in the UFC, so he's not going to be easy to take down if he does. So I know I usually don't like to take single bets when they're favorites of this magnitude. Jussier Formiga is the favorite coming in at a minus 160. Moreno is not too big of an underdog, but for sure an underdog at a plus 140. Usually I like to parlay these types of fights, but I feel very confident in this one. I'm feeling least confident in Silva. I'm feeling most confident in Formiga. So I'm going to say go with him for a single bet. It's going to be $160 to make 100. If you want to parlay him, that's cool, but my suggestion is just to take him as a single bet. Okay, next up we have Johnny Walker versus Nikita Krylov. Walker is the favorite at a minus 145. Krylov is the underdog at a plus 125. This is for sure a style versus style. I'm going to get into my last pick in just a second because that's style versus style too for sure. They both can hit hard. I think Nikita Krylov, he's been in there with a lot of different fighters. I mean, he's 26-7 in his professional career. That's a lot of fights. So he was in the UFC, left the UFC, and I don't know why, because he was on like a 5 or 6 fight win streak and he had one loss. This is going back to 2016. He had 5 fights in a row that he won. So I'm not sure. I'm sure it was something stupid. I'm sure it was a contract issue or something happened because he was doing very, very well. Left the UFC, came back into the UFC in 2018, lost to Jan Blachowicz, beat Owen St. Preux, lost to Glover Teixeira, and that was actually, Teixeira fight was his last fight. This was September of last year, so confidence may be a little low. I'm not sure. He's very up and down, like I just explained. Submission game for days. Great submission artist, especially at 205 pounds at light heavyweight. It's pretty incredible. And then he does have the power to back it up too. So on the feet, he is definitely dangerous. But let's get into Johnny Walker. Almost the same age, 27 years old, 17-4 in his professional career. Knockout. I don't see this happening any other way. He actually is coming off of a loss to Corey Anderson. That was a mean fight. That was the Corey that I'd like to see and didn't see on his last fight. Never had too many great things to say about Corey Anderson, but man, he looked great against Johnny Walker on that night. But that was November 2019, wasn't too long ago. I really think he needed that. I think he needed to get blasted in the face, lose in that manner, the manner that he's done to so many other people. I think it made him stronger. And even though he's a silly fighter, I think if he paces himself, stays focused, stays professional, and stays more precise with his shots, I think he can actually take out Nikita Krylov. So I'm going to suggest you guys, and this is another single bet. I don't have any parlays today, guys. Johnny Walker, take him by KO TKO to beat Nikita Krylov. Last fight, and this is actually the main event, Charles Oliveira versus Kevin Lee. Oliveira is coming in as a slight underdog at a plus 125, and Lee is the slight favorite at a minus 145, just like the last fight. Let me start with Oliveira, a little bit of background. Brazilian fighter again, hometown favorite, like I said earlier, 30 years old, 28-8 in his professional career, coming off of 6 wins in a row. 3 of those submission, 2 of those KO, TKO. He is looking phenomenal. Back in the day, Oliveira was a little iffy. His chin was definitely tested and a little bit questionable, but nowadays he's getting it done. He's a thin, lanky, rangy fighter, but I really think he can get done. Let's move on to Kevin Lee, 27 years old, 18-5 in his professional career. He is a guy that has had a tough time in the UFC. He lost to Tony Ferguson, then he came back, beat Edson Barboza, lost to L.I. Quinta, lost to Rafael Dos Anjos, and then beat Gregor Gillespie. A little bit of a lucky strike, am I allowed to say that? I like Kevin Lee a lot, but I just think that he has not had the easiest time in the UFC. Did win. I can't take anything away from that win. That was back in November of 2019. That was by head kick KO. He was getting his ass kicked, and then he came through with a fierce head kick to knock out Gillespie. But I like Oliveira. I think he's going to win either by decision or submission in this one. I'm going to suggest you guys take the favorite again, minus 145 single bet, submission or decision. That's how it's going to go. So that's going to about wrap it up. That's all I got for you. Those 4 picks hopefully should hit. I've been on a very